And so I just want to take this opportunity to thank the co-chairs of the Fairfax Reentry Council, Liane, Hanna, and Teya West, without whom this wouldn't be possible. Thank you to our sponsors, VPPA, for their generous contribution to this event. And thank you to our panelists who are here today. We really hope that you enjoy them and that you ask them a bunch of questions and just kind of learn from their experiences. A couple of quick tech issues, housekeeping situations and covering any tech issues. If you have any tech issues for any reason, please use the chat function. It will say that it's coming to all panelists, but I'll be able to respond to you directly. If you have any questions for our speakers, please place them in the Q&A section, and then there will be time to kind of answer those questions toward the end of the presentation after they all have spoken. And then lastly, like I said, this is the final of our 8 webinars for this month. So sometime next week, they will be available. The recordings will be available on our YouTube channel, and we'll make sure that you get the PowerPoints and the information from all of those sessions. So with that, I'd like to turn over to Jamie Milloy. Jamie is the jail program staff member for OAR Nova, working primarily in the Fairfax Adult Detention Center. She was a former client of OAR. While assigned to the OAR Alternative Sentencing Program in 2007, she became interested in reentry work, changed her major, completed probation, and then rejoined OAR as a professional in 2010. With that, Jamie, you got it.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Just to kind of start out, I would like to say that being a jail program staff member is an interesting role for a lot of different reasons. But mostly when it comes to returning citizens, I don't always get an opportunity to see people's success after they leave. I don't do post-release case management, and oftentimes people are busy living their lives and engaging with their post-release staff members. And I don't always get to hear or see about the things that they're accomplishing after they leave. So it's a great opportunity here for me to touch base with a couple of people, see how people are doing, et cetera. And I think that it's really important for those of us who work primarily inside the institution to remember that people have full lives, and then when we don't see somebody, it's because they're probably doing well, and then we should be excited for them and glad for them. You know, when Derwin and Liane had first approached me about doing a returning citizens panel, I was so excited. I was ecstatic. Over the past 10 years, I have watched this industry really start to embrace the resource of returning citizens in a totally different way. OAR hiring me when I was just 4 years off probation, they're always kind of on the cutting edge of really living up to what they talk about in terms of second chances. And I'm forever going to be grateful to them for that. And over the last 10 years, I've seen a lot more agencies, organizations, and the industry as a whole shift toward valuing returning citizens as a resource, as a knowledge base, as a power base. In the victim services half of this entire world, we have always considered the victim to be the expert at their own restoration. And I think that now we are continuing to let that idea grow and to let people with lived experience be the experts in their own success. So I'm super happy to be here with these 3 gentlemen today to introduce them and then to let them tell you a little bit about their story, about what has worked for them this time around that may not have worked previously, and the reason that they're able to be here with us today. So the first speaker on our list here today is Mr. Malik Byrd. Malik is a native of Alexandria, Virginia. When he was just 14, he was convicted of second-degree murder in the Alexandria Circuit Court. During his more than 10-year sentence, he graduated from high school. He was then released from prison in 2018. Following his release, Malik has obtained his driver's license, completed all programming required by probation, and become a certified barber. He currently works as a laborer. So Malik, I'm happy to turn it over to you now, and you can tell us about your story.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. As she said, my name is Malik Byrd. My story since being released has been like life, a constant learning one. Prior to being released, I had friends and associates who, used to speak to me and try to instill certain things in me or try to give me an insight of what my transition could possibly be like or what to expect upon my release. And none less to say, they've been on point for the most part. But for me, it's just like staying away from old habits, bad places, or things that could potentially turn bad, like trying to be proactive about not just me not becoming a statistic and being another number when it comes to recidivism, but just growing as a person. Because like you said, Jamie, like I was incarcerated at the age of 14, so coming home at the age of 26, it was like a drastic change for me. Like the adult things that I have to do now, I wasn't doing that before. Paying bills, paying a car note, car insurance, paying rent, anything like that. Like those type of things I didn't have to deal with. Like as I stand now, like I'm a laborer for a company called NPL, Northern Pipeline. We do subcontract work, gas work for Washington Gas, actually. I've been employed with NPL for probably about 19 months, about a year and a half, 19 months, since October of 2019. I've been employed with them. Right out the gate, I didn't get a good job. I actually did like under the table work, working with moving companies, and I worked for a great company out of Fairfax called It's All Good Junk Removal. That was cool. The income was cool. I get paid weekly, so coming home having that type of structure was important to me, because being incarcerated for so many years and having that daily structure, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you go in your room or whatever, like. So structure to me is important. Like having a schedule and sticking to that schedule, like it's very important to me. But like with my employment, it was good, it was great. But as time progresses, I'm pretty sure not just for myself but other panelists, like your responsibilities become bigger. Whether it's you moving on your own, you out of a transition house, you're no longer staying with a relative or a friend, your responsibility becomes bigger. So I knew at that moment, with me having a big responsibility, I needed more money. I needed a better job. So I was working with It's All Good for probably my first under the table first 3 months, but It's All Good maybe a good 8 months. And then October of 2019, a childhood friend of mine who actually works for NPL as well, I reached out to him and I told him I'm ready. Like I was always on him. I was always telling him I want to work with him. I want to work with him before I came home. I want to work with him. And one day he called his general foreman. His general foreman contacted me and said, "You showed me all I wanted to see." And it's crazy because all he wanted to see was that I was hungry. Like he heard my name before. My childhood friend, who was actually like a brother to me, he mentioned it, but his boss just wanted to see, well, I know he just came home. He spoke to me about him before, but is he hungry? Does he want it? So in October, he gave me my opportunity. I was employed. Um, I know, most people say, you shouldn't talk about your salary, but the only reason why I want to say it is to give people who come home hope, like hope that it is possible. Like right now, working with them for over 19 months, I make over $20 an hour and I get paid weekly. So for me, coming home and having this opportunity is big to me. Like you said, Jamie, like not even just outside of me being a laborer for this gas company. I'm a licensed barber in the state of Virginia, and I do cut hair. I cut hair in my leisure time. I cut hair when I get off work. I cut hair on the weekends. I definitely cut hair. A lot of my friends and close relatives say, "Oh, why don't you work in a barber shop?" And I understood that. And I actually contemplated a few times, but for myself, I knew I wanted instant gratification. And like I understood, like that would possibly take time. And being the person I am, instead of reverting back to, I can't even say reverting back to my old ways because I never did it, but reverting back to a criminal mindset of possibly dealing with drugs and stuff like that for instant gratification, I just stayed on top of my brother and stayed on top of my friends, and and I landed this job. And like I said, I've been with him for a year and a half now, and it's great. But one thing I will say, like for people coming home, or if you got friends or family or relatives, is that when your friends and family, and not even friends and family, like people from me through the OER program, my probation officer, Mr. Aaron Lamson, everybody, my psychologist, like everybody through the OER program, one thing I can say is when they see you working and busting your butt, they will go to bat for you. Like for me, I'm eager to say like nothing for me was a handout. Like my brother referring me to this job, If I was a screw up and I was messing up and I was doing bad things, he would have never put his name on the line or stuck his neck out there for me to contact his general foreman and say, oh, my brother, he's home, he's doing good, he's focused, he's hungry. I want to help him better himself. So like with that, I've learned, I've grown. One of the biggest accomplishments outside of employment or my barber license to me has been me learning through trial and error, but understanding what credit means in this world nowadays. Like credit is everything to me. Like as crazy as it may seem, like I've grown to understand, like I would rather have $10 in my bank account and have both of my credit cards paid off instead of having both of my credit cards at $0 and $1,000 in my bank account. Like it's shown me when it comes to me want to purchase a vehicle, want to buy a home, like they don't ask you how much money you make. They ask you what's your credit score. So like that's been another focal point for me, like as far as coming home. And like I said, these are things that in prison and in jails, like they didn't talk to me about this. They didn't say, oh, credit is important. This is how you work on your credit. This is how you build it. None of those things. Like these are things I had to learn on my own. And luckily, you know, I got great friends and family and supporters and the OAR program that assisted me and helped me navigate through this. Like I said, for me, like I was a child when I got locked up, just to be honest. Like I was 14 years old. Like I wasn't even 14 and a half, I don't think. Like I was a fresh 14 years old. So to do that time and come home at 26 is like, I kind of feel like the prison system was just like, all right, you on your own. Like they don't take it. I felt like they didn't take into consideration, well, maybe we should give him a little bit extra attention or have him meet with someone extra because, you know, we don't know his family situation like my dad did pass while I was incarcerated, but my mom could have passed. A number of different things had occurred and could have occurred where my transition would have been difficult. Like, and it's crazy because actually me returning home, I stayed with a guy I met in prison's mom. Like I met him at one of my institutions, Bland Correctional Center, and he was a good guy. Like we became friends. We got close over working out and playing basketball. And he had got released before me, and you know, talking to him and learning through him, seeing his work ethic before I was released, motivated me. Like, okay, it's possible. Like, it's possible to come here and be successful, make a good living, and not have to go back to a life of crime, whatever it may be, not have to break the law. But like for me, I tell friends who have come home after me or people I meet in crossing, like even guys I work with, I tell them like the best way to be is straight and narrow. Because if you do it straight and narrow, you never have to worry about being in trouble because you cut a corner or you took a sneaky route or anything like that. Like everything I do, like even my driver's license, like I had my learner's permit within my first 2 weeks home. Like, you know, most people are like, well, I'm a learner's permit. I could drive a car without somebody. Like I wouldn't go nowhere without my girlfriend because she had a license. Because that's the law. Like if I have my learner's permit, you should have a license driving the vehicle. Like I cut no corners. But the minute I got my license, oh yeah, I could go anywhere by myself then. But until that point, like straight and narrow, like with work, with credit, like everything. Like, and it's crazy because I was in the barbering program at Haynesville Correctional Center. I finished the program, but because of my release date, I wasn't able to take the exam in the prison like, you know, other prisoners. So I actually had to come home. I had to keep studying. I had to set up my appointments in Richmond. I had to set up my appointment with the state board to take my exam. And, you know, a lot of times that could be difficult because it's like, you would think for me to be incarcerated at 14 and come home at 26, that when I come home, it's like, oh, forget the barber thing. Yeah, I finished the class, but I'm not going to follow through and get my license. But for me, I'm big on finishing. Like, I don't like starting something that I'm not going to finish. And, you know, that was important to me. That was important to my transition because it gives me the power to, what I want to say, be somewhat of jack of multiple trades. Like I'm a laborer, I'm a barber, I work junk removal, even being a laborer, like I have certain certifications like my OSHA card and things such as that, where if I wanted to seek employment with another company or something happened, like I have those options. But, you know, I have my feet playing with NPL. NPL is a great company. My general foreman, he's very understanding. Like there's been days where I've never taken a day off for work. Only time I've ever missed work in the past year and a half is when I had COVID. last year, April, I did get COVID. I was out from April 27th, 28th to about May 20th. I returned to work. It was bad. I had pneumonia, fever was 104.5. It was bad. But outside of that, like I've never missed a day at work. Like even if I had probation obligations or meetings, like I would come to work at 7, be working. I'll call my boss, say, hey, I'm gonna come back to the yard, get in my car, drive to my probation obligation, and I'll be right back right after. And that's exactly what I did. Because, one thing I realized, like, life never stops. Like my responsibilities are gonna continue to grow. Bills gonna keep coming in. Like those are important responsibilities. My court fines, all those things matter to me. So those things are always a top priority in my list. Like where I stand now with probation, I'm on shadow track. So, I check in once a month. I have to call a number. So that's definitely a blessing because I can't lie because I work in Fairfax. So going to see the probation officer, it wasn't really an inconvenience, but the shadow track thing is cool, it's great. But yeah, like just sitting here thinking about what the past, what for me, 30 months have been like, it's been a learning experience. But like one thing about me, like I know there's still more to learn, there's still more to grow. Like where I stand now, like I'm looking to hopefully, I'm aiming to purchase a house next year. Like I want to be a homeowner. Like that's a big goal of mine. And honestly, that's how I tend to live my life. Like I'll set a goal of like, okay, what I'm trying to get done in the first 6 months and how can I actively pursue these goals. I might not do it every day. I might do it twice in a week. I might pursue a 6-month goal or do something that's worth working towards a 6-month goal. But once that 6 months come in, I usually like to be able to say, okay, I reached that goal. Because one thing for me, I hate feeling stagnant. Like if I feel stuck, like I'm not making progress and I'm not growing, I'm not learning, I get frustrated and I start like, how can I say it? In my head, my wheels start spinning like a hamster on a wheel. Like I just start thinking like, okay, what's next? What's next? Like I said, my barber license, I got it. I utilize it. This, I have it. I utilize it. And like, now I'm on the fence about going back to school. Like, I'm definitely on the fence about going back to school. I have a couple friends who actually have cyber security classes to get certified in that. Not expensive at all. It's only like $300, but I'm just constantly trying to grow so, I could develop and just be the best person I could be. And one thing I've always been big on, like even before I was home, I used to always tell myself, like, I can't come back. Like there's been many days in prison where, I was hungry. The officers might have got on my nerves, especially if they're younger than you. It's like, oh, you're like 19, 20, and like you're talking to me crazy. But in the beginning, when I was a child, I used to get upset and it used to frustrate me. But probably I can't lie, my last 6 years, I used to smile at it. I really used to embrace it because I used to smile and say, you know what, this is the exact reason why I'm never coming back. Like the power, the authority that they had over me, I was like, yeah, like, all those days that motivate me to come home and just do right. Like now I'm at a point where with a brother, my mom, or even some of my closest friends, like if I ask for help, they know that means I really need it because I'm so self-efficient. Because like for so many years of my life as a child, I had to depend on friends and family for money, food, assistance. So coming home is just like, I told myself like, I'm independent and I know I have the support. But one thing I realized about being free is that there are too many ways to make legal income. And it's 24 hours in a day. Like I've done Instacart before. Like that's something I did on the side in the beginning. I was doing Instacart and many other things. But as far as probation and like my transition and being in Northern Virginia, it's been a positive one. It's been a positive one. And it's crazy because I used to be, how can I say, optimistic, I guess, about me returning back to the Northern Virginia area where I committed my crime at. I used to think about those type of things. But one thing I realized is that I don't frequent the places I frequent as a child. The restaurants I eat at, the things I do for fun and freedom or in my leisure time or for entertainment, the troublemakers don't frequent those places. Like the restaurants I eat at, troublemakers or the people I thought I can have conflict with, they don't eat at those places. So for the most part, I just try to grow and learn. Like recently, I just traveled for the first time since I've been home. I had traveled to Florida. I went to Miami with one of my brothers. But it was cool. Like it was cool. Like the transition as far as, or the process as far as requesting the time to travel, it was smooth. I contacted the shadow track officer in Richmond. It was approved the next day. But one thing I will say, like for anyone that sees this or is watching this now, if you are on probation, if you do right and don't cut corners, there's nothing to worry about. Like staying out of trouble is easy. Like a lot of, when I first was released, a lot of people like, yo, you staying out of trouble? And I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what getting in trouble is anymore. Like I don't know what the word trouble is anymore, because staying out of trouble is really not hard at all. Like not hard at all. And then like I say, for me, like I didn't have handout. You have some people who are fortunate enough to have, families are in better financial situations, come home and, the living situation is better, come home to money and a budget support. But like me, probably my last year and a half incarceration, like I was sending money home to my mom to buy me things like hygiene, underwear, socks, the basic necessities that I knew I would need, because I knew for me, the type of person I am, like extremely proactive. Like I'd rather have it in line and in order now ahead of time, instead of when the time gets here, I feel like I'm under pressure because it's like, oh, I need this in 3 days, but I knew this day was coming 3 months ago. So like for me, it's just growing and developing, and surrounding myself with positive people and people who I know genuinely see my work ethic, see my growth, and they want to see me win, because I'm a firm believer, and I've seen through myself and other people I've met, like I said earlier, like if you work hard and you put forth the work ethic for yourself, your friends, family, and your probation officer, any supporters you have, they will definitely be there to support you. They definitely will. They definitely will. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for the time. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Malik. You know what? I've just met you today, obviously, but I'd like to say that I'm very proud of you. And that means that I know how much everybody that worked with you along this journey is so, so proud of you. So excited for you to continue to grow and figure out where your role is in this big planet of ours. I know you're going to do great things.
Thank you. Thank you.
So our next speaker is Mr. Julio Declet. Julio became clean and sober while he was incarcerated at the Fairfax Adult Detention Center in the Sheriff's STAR program. While he was in the program, Julio had the opportunity to work with peer specialists and other individuals in recovery while regularly attending 12-step meetings inside the program. Julio plans to pursue a career as a public speaker, a certified peer recovery specialist, so he can carry the message of hope to individuals that suffer from the disease of addiction. Julio, we'll turn it over to you now to share a bit about your journey and what's going on with you now.
All right, sounds good. It's a pleasure to be here. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, fantastic. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to even come here today. It's a big deal for me. And it's a big deal for me because at times in my life, I hit moments where I feel like I could be doing more, and sometimes I take a look back and see how far I've come, and it allows me to have real appreciation for all of the hard work that I've put in. And, today's it's a big deal for me. And it's a big deal for me because, just to show people that it's possible to continue to live a life of recovery. The STAR program was a very big deal for me. It was a very good starting point for me. I was very proactive, during my journey in incarceration, and I was working on myself harder than I had been my whole entire life. I was incarcerated for my 4th DWI. Within 10 years, I was sentenced to 5.5 years and 20-year probation. And with God's amazing grace, I came home in 3. And that was due to a lot of hard work, and doing the things for the right reasons and reaching out to the resources that were available to me, and getting a lot of people in my network that had the same, drive, goals, and ambitions that I did. because it's not easy to be in an incarcerated setting where, you know, I was surrounded by a lot of, you know, victim mentality or lack of accountability, and people that unfortunately viewed me as a menace to society, as I was, you know, called when I went to court by, you know, the prosecutors. And I remember at that moment, I said, man, I'm powerless over this addiction of mine, and I need help. And I was gonna do everything in my power to better the quality of my life, because I was so tired of being tired, you know. And when I got to jail, I really was looking for a solution. And when I got into recovery, there was only two things that I wanted. And those two things was, I wanted to stop using and I wanted to stop hurting. And, you know, through the grace of God and a lot of help, a lot of work, a lot of support, guys that were able to love me before I was able to love myself, people that believed in me before I was able to believe in myself, you know, I was able to attain a lot of those goals. And, you know, in returning into society, it's been a heck of a transition for me. It's been a heck of a transition for me, because not only was I returning to society as a 2-time convicted felon, I was also returning to society in the middle of a world pandemic. And that was difficult, because a lot of people really don't understand, you know, that, you know, being incarcerated for as long as I was incarcerated and then coming back and trying to adjust, you know, I'm newly married. You know, I moved to the West Coast, I changed my scenery, and I had a lot of things on my to-do list that I had checked off. And it was all about staying proactive for me, man, because one of the things that you know, I suffer from alcoholism, and my addiction or my substance use disorder is so socially accepted by society. And I'm constantly told to go to happy hour. I'm constantly being told to take a nightcap or have a beer at a barbecue. And that's what society wants me to believe. But I know the only way for me to drink responsibly is not to drink. And I've already done enough research where I know that that does not work for me. And at this stage of my life, there's nothing that drinking or using would do to make my life any better. There's just no quality in it for me. And every time that I get through, because one of the things that I'm realizing is that life is very, you know, it's really easy to be discouraged. It's really easy for me to get into a victim state of mind and lose my sight of gratitude. And I think gratitude for me is very important, and making sure that my mental health is in order, because I never realized before going to the STAR program, you know, I come from a family where they're like, man up, keep it pushing, do this, do that. And I never knew that mental health was such important. I never knew that addressing the traumas and correcting a lot of the behaviors, you know, went hand in hand with substance use disorder. I didn't know this. You know, I thought if you drank and you know, you acted inappropriately, that you know that was the result of drinking. I never knew that, you know, drinking for me for a long time was a coping. It was how I coped with things. It's how I escaped reality. And I want to say that I'm really thankful today that, you know, just for today, I have created a life that I no longer need an escape from, which allows me to continue to stay present in this moment. And I was really happy to hear, you know, the gentleman that spoke before me, and he was talking about credit. And I started laughing when he said that, because I actually have been put in a position due to COVID, due to my felonies, where there isn't a lot of opportunities, available to me because of my shortcomings, because of the poor choices that I have made in the past. But I didn't allow that to stop me. When I came home, I took the peer recovery specialized training in the STAR program. I was blessed to get, that certificate. And I came home and I don't have a license. I'm not going to be able to drive because, I have 4 DWIs and I'm suspended for the next 5 years. And so for me, I could have taken that as a reason to quit, but instead of quitting and looking for an opportunity, I told myself, Julio, how can you create an opportunity? Because I already feel as if I already took my greatest liability and turned it into an asset. I go back into the jail 3 times a week and I carry the message of hope. And when I came out here, I couldn't get a job in peer recovery specialist because a lot of the jobs require you to have a valid driver's license so you can drive clients to, recovery centers and treatment facilities. And I was unable to provide that. So what I had to do was get recreative, and everything was shut down because of COVID. And I wanted to go back to school for barbering. I was unable to do that. I wanted to do public speaking, and it was really hard to do that because everything is closed. So I had to get real creative. And I said, there's 2 things that I was really beating my head over. And I said, man, my reputation with society is already tarnished in a sense as being a convicted felon, right? It's already tarnished in a sense and not being able to drive in my background. And these are due to poor choices that I've made in my past, and that it's going to take some time and good behavior on my part to correct. But what is another avenue as far as reputation? And when he said credit, I started laughing because I was like, I'm in the process of developing I just got my LLCs. I'm building a credit repair business because I realized that, being incarcerated for 3 years, I got out, my credit score was like 300 and some change, and I fell into collections. And within a 2-month span, I was able to take my credit score from three something to like high 600s within 2 months, and I said, man, there's a need here because like credit is like reputation. So I started thinking to myself, I started getting really deep, and I started calling like a lot of guys that I know in my network. And I said, hey man, do you know anybody that does credit and will help me get my credit? And they told me the best answer that they could tell me, which was no. So what they told me right there, that there's an opportunity, there's a problem. So when I said, okay, there's a problem here, how can I provide a solution and how can I help others in the process? So I said, man, I could take my experience, strength, and hope, help guys that are coming, help them get their credit together for free, and continue to use that as a platform to grow not only my business, but to help other people understand that, you can create opportunities for yourself if you're hungry. And that's one of the things that continues to drive me. Like, I got to remember why I'm doing this. I got to remember, like, if I do it for my mother, if I do it for my wife, it's not going to last. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me, and I have to dig deep. Every day I have to show up for myself. And that's not hard. That's not easy to do all the time. Sometimes when you have years of bad behavior, years of things that automatically like go into a default mode. I like to call it a default mode, and where I get revengeful or I get stuck in unforgiveness. And those things for me are very paralyzing, and that's when I have to go back to gratitude. I have to go back and remember where I come from, because if I don't remember where I come from, I'm doomed to return. And that's just been, proven through my history and doing things my way. See, I had to put my pride to the side and ask for help, because the help is out there. The help is out there. And that's what, if anybody gets anything out of this, I want them to understand that the help is out there. It is out there. And you just got to go ask for it. And you got to look for it. And you can't take no, or you can't take, a little bit of disappointment as failure. Because one of the greatest tools for me in my life today is failure. Because that's how I built my life, is off the failure, off of the pain. Because you know why? That's all I had. When I was incarcerated, all I had was pain. All I had was failure and setbacks and shortcomings. And it took me a long time to get myself into a point where I said, how can I turn this liability into an asset? All of this pain can't be for nothing. And when I get here and I speak with so much passion, because this is so important to me. And I want people to understand that it is possible. It is possible. It is possible to live a life of quality without the drugs, without alcohol. It is possible. And it's possible one day at a time. A lot of my brothers ask me, Julio, how do you do this? How do you do this? I tell them, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other. Do I get disappointed sometimes? Absolutely. Do I get angry sometimes? Absolutely. But I don't let that dictate the pace of my life today. I deal with it, I accept it, because I know I'm a human being, and I keep it moving. And when in doubt, I reach out. I reach out to somebody who's been where I've been. Because I think for me personally, just for me, for this person, this guy, for me, my strongest tool has not been the resources I was given. It's been the recovering addict for me. It's been the person who has been where I've been. That relatability was what changed my life. That's what changed my life. That's why it's so important for me. When I go to these STAR program meetings through Zoom, it's so important for me, because I was that person in the Zoom meeting on the other side. That was me. That was me. I continue to show up because I want to tell these guys, yo, it's possible. It's possible. You can do this. Drugs and alcohol is such a small piece of the bigger thing. It's the behavior. Once you address the behavior, once you address the trauma, once you address like mental health and all of those things, life gets better. Mental health is wealth. I say it all the time. Health is wealth. If you're not mentally healthy, if you're not addressing these behaviors, not addressing mental health, anxiety, bipolar, all of those things, and addressing these issues in the right way, it's going to be very difficult for you to get any type of momentum. At least it is for me, and that's why mental health is very, very, very important to me. It's very important to me, because if I don't have a good sound mind, I can't do nothing. I'm just going to fall into the victim stance. I'm going to be on the pity potty, and I'm going to be feeling sorry for myself. I have to be accountable, and I have to be responsible for myself today. I can't put the blame on other people. I have to take that responsibility back and take accountability for myself. That's why I continue to show up, and I continue to carry the message of hope. I have a lot of good things today. The grass is not always greener on the other side, but it's always worth it. You put in the work, it's worth it. There is no, like my sponsor tells me all the time, and my mentors tell me all the time, Julio, you cannot get 10 years in a day, no matter how hard you try. Just try to make the most use of today, maximize today. And that's exactly what I try to do. I try to maximize today to make my tomorrow that much easier. And I continue to build off of that. I don't compete with nobody. I just compete with who I used to be and who I was yesterday. And I continue to build my brand off of that, And I'm very thankful to be here. I'm very thankful that Jamie and Liane and Sheriff Kincaid and Captain Poppet and all of these people that saw the potential in me, and believed in me and fought for me. I want those people to know that it wasn't in vain. And I want to say thank you. I really want to say thank you. I really want to say thank you, because not everybody is the same. and I am not, you know, I have made a lot of poor choices and I made a lot of bad decisions, but I am not a victim of my circumstance. You know, I'm a human being, and I'm just glad that the help was available when I needed it, because the STAR program has saved my life, and it's built a strong foundation for the rest of my life. And I honestly don't think that I would have been able to get well by myself. And it took what it took. And sometimes you have to take a step back just to get a broader view. And I'm really thankful to that today for that. And I'm really thankful to be here. I'm really thankful for this platform. And, you know, and I met a great brother along the way, Aaron Myers, man. You're a beacon of hope for me, man. You motivated me. And yeah, you know, I'm really glad, you know, to know you as a person, as a human being, and as my brother. You know, I call you my brother all the time. You're family to me, man. And this is one of the things that I love about this process, is that you meet great people along the way. You meet like-minded people that help you grow and that challenge you and that hold you accountable. And that's been the greatest gift of recovery for me, is the people that I've met along the way. And I'm really thankful for that. You know, I'm really, really thankful for that. And I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm thankful for to be here. So thank you guys for letting me share and let me be part of this today. I really appreciate it.
Julio, thank you so much for being here. I'll tell a really quick story about Julio that he reminded me of. We were in class one day, and he was talking about the person that he was before, his motivations, his priorities, the types of things he would do with his free time. And I said, no offense, bud, but I would 100% would not have been friends with you. But the person who's sitting in front of me now in that class, he had already gone through the STAR program. He had already made so much of those changes, and then he had been starting to just put them into practice and maintenance. And I said, this guy who's sitting here in front of me today, this is a guy that I could be friends with. So Julio, so great to see you continuing on in that track, continuing to make yourself and everybody else proud. It's always great to see you, great to touch base. And we'll look forward to continuing to see great things from you in the future as well. All right, we've got another speaker here today. Our final panelist is Aaron Myers. Aaron is a dedicated father, son, and a brother. Family's very important to him. He's also one of the very first graduates of the Sheriff STAR program. Part of his recovery has included working towards a peer recovery specialist certification and actually running peer-to-peer support groups inside the Work Release Center, which he'll tell you more about. Aaron was able to take advantage of the Oxford House program to get established post-release and sobriety, and from that foundation has since been able to move into stable, independent housing. So we're going to turn it over to Aaron, and I am actually going to get out of the way.
Hey, my name's Aaron. I'm a person in recovery. Real quick, Malik, Julio, thank you for opening up and leading the way. Y'all's positivity is contagious. So I guess I'll just start off where I was before my incarceration. You know, my first drink was when I was 8. You know, I started selling drugs when I was 12. My first arrest was when I was 14 for a violent crime. And from there, you know, it's just in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. And whether it was a drug conviction or something else, substances were always involved one way or another. You know, growing up, I never felt comfortable in my own skin. And I think part of that was what led me to behave the way I behaved and deal with emotions by using substances. So leading up to my incarceration, 2017, I was charged with possession with intent. 2018, I was convicted. So throughout this time leading up to my conviction, every day it was just, you know, I would wake up And my first thought would be, okay, how am I going to go get high today? How am I going to make this money today? How am I going to survive? When am I going to eat? Honestly, eating was probably my last thought I had. You know, it was all about, you know, what kind of substance I can put in my body so I didn't have to feel anymore. You know, because I got to a point where I was in a very dark place in my life, and I knew I needed a change, but I could not do it by myself. I needed divine intervention, and that definitely happened. So without going into too many details of, you know, running around on the streets and all that, I mean, we all know how that goes. I'll just jump right into my incarceration. When I was there, I believe the first 9 months I was there, I was on the same block. You know, and I remember, and this is kind of when I realized, like, I was really like just tired of how I was living, and you know, my interests. Like, I would hear all these different people on the block brag about how, you know, they're these big time money makers, or they're all of a sudden the best lawyers you've ever met, yet they're wearing the same jumpsuit you are. I never understood that. But they'd be talking about all these women on TV and this and that, and like just all this stuff that, like, in my mind, like I would look around and be like, man, I'm a grown man, and we watching the Kardashians. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what am I doing? You know, so you know, like it's like all these things people were talking about, like, it no longer interests me. It's like, man, I've been there, I've done that. Like, I've had money, I've been broke. I've had money, I've been broke. Like, it was like there was no substance to my life. There was no meaning behind it. I had no purpose. I had no goals, no interests, anything. So I saw on the bottom of the screen, the ticker, you know, it had like these like updates about things going on in the facility. And I saw something about, you know, a substance use program. I really didn't know any details about it. It was the first thing I saw. I was like, all right, I've got to do something. Might as well take a shot in the dark. So I signed up for it. And I didn't realize, I really had no idea what that one decision was going to, how it affects my life. So I did an interview with some people from the CSB, some people with the Sheriff's Department. I was accepted into the program, and that program wasn't something I had to do, but it was something I got to do. And that way of looking at things is actually something I learned in the STAR program. Is, you know, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to, but you get to do things in life, right? The STAR program was an opportunity that I took advantage of. Me and several other gentlemen helped. I don't want to use the word mold, but for lack of a better word, you know, we helped mold, with the help of others, the program into what it was, what it is. We kind of got the opportunity to lead the way, you know, in a couple different ways. But being there at the program, the thing that benefited me the most was the fact that it was peer based. I've been in other programs before that were more clinical than anything. And when it comes to someone that has, you know, a master's in you know, in psychology, or a master's, you know, in something to do with substance use, like the difference between someone that has the book knowledge versus someone that has been where you have been, that, you know, that knows exactly, that can relate to your feelings, relate to the places you've been, related to the bad decisions you've made, and have come out on the other side as a success. You know, that to me, I'm more prone to be attracted to that kind of how do I put it? That environment versus a clinical one, because of course I want to understand how, like, you know, things affect my body scientifically, or or you know, how post-acute withdrawal will affect me for so long and all that. Like, that's important. But when it comes to how to process my thoughts, my feelings, in decision making, it's important for me to hear that from someone that has done that before me. You know, lead by example instead of just saying, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that." It's like, no, this is how I did it. You can do it too. Let me show you. You know, being in the STAR program, I had an opportunity to actually take a peer recovery specialist training, which gave me a different perspective on how to approach other people like me. I also took a revive training to on how to administer Narcan, which is something I think is fantastic that a lot of people should go through, because you never know when you're gonna. There's a opioid pandemic that is so what's the word? Like, it's so common these days that you come across somebody that may need help. I remember being on the bus the other day, and I have a pack of Narcan that I carry with me in my book bag everywhere I go. And you know, I was looking at this guy, and he looked like he needed some help. And I was telling myself, like, you know, maybe you should go over there, you know, check on him, blah, 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 because I thought he was, you know, nodding out. I thought he was going out, and he woke up. I mean, he, you know, bounced back up. So I didn't know if he was just out of sleep, tired, or if he, you know, was under the influence of something. But the fact that that thought came across my mind, and that I was equipped with the training, and I also had, you know, my pack on me, that thought right there told me, it was like, wow, like if that really was a situation, like I could have been there to help. Before, I would have never thought twice. I'd be thinking about, all right, where's my bus stop? Let me get out of here, you know, like, let me get away from this. Peer-led program. So when I was also there, I had the chance to meet some very, very profound people in my life. Julio is one of them. There's a couple other gentlemen that were part of the program that showed me that it's okay to open up about trauma. You know, because I've experienced trauma in life where I would share these things with people I thought were my friends, and you know, they kind of threw it in my face. I learned to close up, and that's something that affected me for a while in my life, because it made me not reach out for help. It made me not open up. It made me close up. It made me do a lot of unhealthy things. But being in the STAR program, when people share their experience, strength, and hope, it shows me that it's okay for me to do the same. So leading to my release, when I graduated, well, when I moved on from the STAR program, I was offered the opportunity to go to the alternative incarceration branch, and lead recovery meetings, which for me, this is another thing that I learned. For me, it was scary. It was, I had a big fear of going over there, not because I was, you know, moving away from the people I gotten so comfortable with, and these people that I've shared such meaningful, built such meaningful relationships with. I was scared because I was going over there. I was going to lead these meetings where there's many people that were not like-minded. You know, I went from a community where everybody is trying to get help, everybody's trying to stay sober, everybody's trying to learn these new tools to use in their life once they're free. I was going to a place where it was almost like being back on the first block where I started. Some people just did not care about recovery. Some people didn't know about recovery. So when I went over there, and I was starting to lead these meetings, leading up to running these meetings, right? I was in and out of the office, talking to other deputies in the sheriff's office. And it's like, to my mind, you know, I'm like, man, these guys are gonna think I'm telling on someone. They're gonna wonder who this kid is, you know, running these meetings. Why is he getting this attention from this deputy or that deputy? These were just fears. This is my old way of thinking, right? So having that fear, you know, I walked through it anyways because it's not something I had to do. You know, it was a choice. It was an opportunity presented to me. And by doing so, I walked through the fear. I also learned that, you know, don't knock something till you try it, because I actually had a lot of help from another inmate that did not go through the program with me. This is another gentleman. I sat down next to him. I noticed he was reading some recovery literature. And, you know, I told him about the opportunity I had, and he actually asked if he could, you know, go ahead and help. And he did. It made me feel really comfortable. And that's just another little experience that tells me that, excuse me, by myself, you know, I don't have to do everything by myself. I had help from another person that was trying to get better, you know, and it taught me to accept help, which is something that I've always struggled with. You know, let alone asking for help. You know, it's almost like getting a compliment. Sometimes you don't know how to take a compliment. Like, you know, it makes you feel uncomfortable or something. At least for me, it always did. Because I wasn't used to being an esteemable person. So when I was in work release, I ran these recovery meetings. Also while I was there, and this was very detrimental to me too, before I was released, I started to get these thoughts of, where are you going to live? You know, you're doing all this recovery stuff. That's great and everything, but where are you going to live? Where are you going to work? How are you going to get your next meal? All these thoughts came back to my mind that I originally had before I was incarcerated. So there's either one or two ways you can go. You can either go back to everything you knew, or you can try something different. And I had a very unique experience because of the resources I received before I left. And I've never experienced this in any other incarceration in my life. I had Liane from Reentry. She helped me get into sober housing, which any other time I've had to do that, I've had to do that outside. I've had to set up interviews that normally take a lot longer, normally had to interview with many different places. She helped me interview, got me into a house almost immediately. Like I had an interview. A couple days later, I was accepted. So that was one big relief. It was that was lifted, you know, one stress that was lifted off my shoulders. I got a job several weeks before I got out, which I still have. I've been there for a little over 1.5 years now. Thank God for that. When I was released, I had a van waiting. I had a ride waiting at the door when I was released. I've never had that. This gentleman from the CSB had picked me up. He took me to Catholic Charities to pick up a lot of necessities that I needed. Took me down to Catholic Charities to get clothing, because all I had was the clothes, my personal belongings, and some of the stuff that I had acquired while I was in jail. Went there. OAR had been a great help. Had provided me with some essentials. Who else? Catholic Charities. Chris Atwood Foundation was a big part of me also getting into the sober housing. Was a big part of the Revive training. They also, and this wasn't just the day I got out, but after being out for a while, and like Julio was talking about, you know, with the world pandemic going on, there's a couple times where my hours had been cut, and you know, I was starting to run low on money. Chris Atwood Foundation had helped me pay my rent. I believe more than once they helped me pay my rent. I've never had someone want to help me. At least I didn't feel that way until this past incarceration. In all these resources I never knew about, and they're just sitting right there in front of me, you know. And for me to not advocate for those resources would be a disservice to rest of the people that follow, that have been, how do I put it, rest of the people that are where I was, you know, other people like me. It would be a disservice if I didn't advocate for it or tell them to utilize those resources. That's why they're there. That's why we need them. That's why we need more of them. Because if we didn't have these resources, I know I would have been set up for failure. The whole incarceration would have been for nothing. It was just for me to get out, to get incarcerated again. You know, it would just be that vicious cycle, that revolving door. But you know, it's empowered me to be a better person. It's empowered me to be selfless. You know, I don't think I would have ever thought about speaking in front of a bunch of people or advocating for anything for that matter if you know, I hadn't changed my perspective, changed my morals, my values, the people I associate with. You know, I don't associate with many people anymore, and I'm okay with that now, because it's helped me learn how to appreciate solitude. It's helped me get comfortable with who I am, you know. It's helped me validate myself instead of seeking validation, outside validation from others, like having something for others, you know. The people I associate with now, like they appreciate me for me, not for what I have, you know, not for what I can give them or what they can get out of me, and you know, vice versa. Like, just hearing Malik and Julio talk, like I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I was like, man, this feels really good. Like watching these guys, hearing their story, like they've come a long way, and it's like, you know. And then I look at myself and I'm sitting here, and it's like, wow, who are you before that, and who are you now? It's like everything for me used to be like a materialistic thing, and now it's like it's all, I don't know, like I appreciate the simple things. Like I've learned a lot through going through the program, through staying clean. I appreciate the simple things. I appreciate more of like what people want to do in a positive light for people more than what they actually like. I'm bad with my words, forgive me. It's I just appreciate people. Like I love people. Like I love myself now. And I couldn't say that before. Before the experiences I had with all these programs and all these resources that I've received. When it comes to where I'm at now, I am on probation, parole. And the difference between my probation now and what it has been before is, instead of thinking to myself, okay, I can do this now, I meet with my PO in 10 days. All right, I gotta drink a lot of water. No, like I don't think like that anymore. Like, all right, I'm gonna have to run 10 miles, make sure I'm clean by Thursday. No, that's not how I think. Now it's like, when I talk to my PO, I try to be as transparent and as like personable as I can. Instead of just being, you know, I have to talk to them, you know, all upright and I don't want to say proper, but you know, I used to keep it short and sweet, and now it's like I open up, not just about like where I'm at in life. But like my feelings, like I talk to my probation officer about things going on with my family, things going on, you know, in my head, just how I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. I communicate with my probation officer more than I've ever communicated with any authority figure. Which I'll backtrack for a sec. Another thing the STAR program helped me with is remove the stigma from how I look at authority figures. Stigma was a big issue. I don't look at anybody as the enemy anymore. I mean, they're just another person, you know, just a person just like me or you. But probation, parole for me, I'm on probation for 10 years, as it stands now, but it's more like how can I utilize my probation officer? How can I utilize this to be a better person? How can I utilize this to succeed or accomplish my goals or accomplish my, you know, whatever is asked of me from the courts? Like, how can my PO and I work together to achieve a goal? How to maintain a healthy lifestyle? How to, oh yeah, oh, I've talked for 18 minutes. Oh my god! All right, how to just you know, live a positive lifestyle. It's which is cool. I think, like when I look at it, I think it's really cool that the probation officers that I've had have actually been very helpful, very understanding, very proactive, and the proactive part has been very helpful for me because there's been a couple hurdles that I've experienced. And, you know, I'm still experiencing a couple when it comes to meeting stipulations, like requirements of the courts. But when they see you doing everything you're supposed to and everything you can, like everything within your power, they do the same. You know, it's like they see you helping yourself, so they go ahead and they help you. You know, I've never experienced that before either. But I'm not gonna keep yapping. This has been a very cool experience. It's an honor to be asked or to be given this opportunity. Sorry, I just saw a question. But it's been an honor to be given this opportunity to speak. And it's always good to hear other people that were in my shoes speak as well. Thank you again, Julio. Thank you, Malik. One quick question. How did I get a job while still incarcerated? The work release program helped me do that. It was not necessarily the first job I wanted, but it was a job nonetheless. In work release, they help you. I know they changed the name of their organization. What was the Skill Source? That's what it was. Skill Source.
Career Works.
They're now Virginia Career Works. Nice woman, Renee, helped me acquire this job. She helped me fill out applications, build a resume, and they have contacts there that help people that are reentering society as well. And that's how I acquired the job. Now, keeping the job is a whole nother thing when you get out. You just gotta work hard, but it's been a blessing, and I've kept the job. It's been an absolute blessing. Thank you, Renee, if you are watching. I hope you are. I don't know, but thank you. And I also want to thank Jamie Poppett and Sheriff Kincaid for the opportunity and for helping change the culture and approach the Sheriff's Department takes when finding a solution to substance use and recidivism. Thank you.
And as always, I'll add that we're very proud of Aaron. He's come a long way. Full disclosure, I've known Aaron for most of my life, and there were some years there that we were quite distant because we were on different paths. But I would say that it has been an absolute pleasure watching him go through this process, and that the STAR unit, the resources that he was able to access and the hard work that he's put in, I've gotten my friend back. So it's been great to be able to spend this last time since he's been out, actually back in touch and being able to go places and do things, and to see him kind of bloom into the person that was underneath all along. So I'm very grateful to all these programs as well, and very, very proud of Aaron for all the hard work that he's put in.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you to you all. So I know Malik is working and moving around, so won't ask him to give his final thoughts, but I do wanted to give Julio and Aaron and you, Jamie, as well, just some quick takeaways that you would want to tell people as they leave. And then I'll also bring in our co-conveners of the Fairfax Reentry Council as you all speak. So I guess we can go to Jamie if you want to start. Jamie, Aaron, then go to Julio last. That works.
Yeah, sure. So I would say this, the resources are growing and changing. There are some resources that have always been there and people have either chosen or not chosen to engage in, but the resources are growing. We're getting better and better about learning what works best for most people and trying to find ways to meet people where they are. And so for those people that are still struggling, that are still in and out, not to avoid a resource that maybe you looked at before that didn't work for you then. It might not have worked for you then for any number of reasons, and it's not an indication that it won't work for you now. The other thing that I will say for sure is that there's a big push across the board to look at the difference and the solution of things like addiction and even behavioral addictions, not even substance addictions. The opposite of that lifestyle is connection. And that really, when we're seeing success, we're seeing people that make and build and keep more and more people in their life, more and more connections. And that we want to make sure everybody knows that these agencies are all out here to be part of that support circle.
Hey again. All right. My final thoughts. I don't know. I think I pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. Is Star still listening? Are they listening? Or
Probably.
okay, cool. Guys, just look. The only way it's gonna work is if you allow it to. All right. When I was there was a lot of things at first I questioned, but I think the biggest thing is that actually, I'm gonna quote something I heard in there. One of the guys that used to be part of the STAR program, he said, pain isn't or change isn't painful, it's the resistance to it. And that for me kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. I think when you start to do things different that you're maybe unsure about, you maybe have a little fear about, when you walk through them on the other side, it's pretty freeing, and it doesn't matter how small or big it is. I hope I get to meet some of y'all whenever you get out, and just one day at a time.
Man, final thoughts for me would be like, I would like to see maybe in the near future, maybe some type of like mentorship program, because I know for me personally, like having somebody being where I was and going through what I was going through was a very big benefit to me. And I know that resources is available through STAR. STAR has a lot of like ways to get resources as far as like sponsorship, but some type of mentorship it will be very helpful, I feel, for people, and not only for people that are incarcerated, but for people like myself that just want to be of service and just give back, because it is a two-way street. And one of the final thoughts I would like to say to the participants and everybody listening is that it is possible. It is possible. And it's not going to be easy, but you're worth it. And nobody can make you believe that it's something that you have to realize internally. And that's something that I had to do, you know? And one of the messages that I like to carry is just continue to create a life that you no longer need to escape from. It's the most important thing for me today. You know, creating a life that I don't need to escape from. And I continue to build every day off of, you know, my shortcomings and some of my successes. It's a learning process. The more you know, the less you know. And just keep at it, you know, because you're worth it. You got to believe that you're worth it, no matter what. Try to turn your greatest liability into an asset. That's what I did. You know, people ask me if I've been incarcerated. I say, yeah, I use it as a badge of honor. You know, I use my recovery as a badge of honor. I don't run from it. I embrace who I am, you know, because my pain changes lives. I'm in the life-saving business, man. That's what I'm in. You know, that's what I like to do. I like to continue to come out here, continue to show up and be present today for those who need to hear that, to hear that, you know. I'm not here to sit here and say, oh man, life is great, because, you know, life has its struggles. Just like you have struggles in there and people incarcerated, there's struggles out here. Just make sure that you get, I always say it in meetings, make sure you get 1 or 2 good guys in your corner, because you're going to need them. You're going to need them, because I can't do this by myself. And the beautifulest thing is I don't have to. So I'm grateful today for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the reentry and the return to citizens panel. I'm grateful for everything that you guys are doing, because, you know, one of the things that I know is for certainty is you can't save everybody, but if you can save one, maybe you can save 2. So that's all I got. Thank you for letting me share.
For myself, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. So, I want to say thank you to all the participants. Jamie, thank you for having me. Aaron, Julio, appreciate it. Mr. Smith, appreciate it. Special thanks to, but the OAR program, if anybody from that program is in. My first probation officer, Mr. Lamson, I appreciate him. Like, his communication was very vital, and, you know, me being on track and, you know, just coming home with probation, I definitely want to thank him. Anybody else watching this, if there's anything I could say to you, I would say, just don't give up. Like, for me, I want to tell you so bad, there's no excuses. When I left the juvenile system and went to the adult system, the panel I met with before I went to the adult system of counselors and therapists, they told me good luck. And my response to them was, and it's still to this day, I don't believe in luck. You do what's right and you do what you know should be done. So, like the fellow panelists here tonight, Julio, Jamie, Aaron, like, you know, we all have our own testimony. We've all been through things, we've all overcome things. But like Julio said, like, those 2 guys in your corner, like, there's nothing wrong with support. And when it comes to prison reform, I feel like, for me, like, the brother I speak on, like, he's no longer on probation. He's definitely a convicted felon. Like, he owns a home. He's a homeowner in Bristol, Virginia, Manassas. Almost a $500,000 house. Like, that motivates me. That lets me know it's possible, because he did 10+ years of incarceration. So anybody who's watching this, like, in a jail or anywhere that ends up seeing this, just know it's possible. Just know it's a way. Just know that it's all up to you. And don't be scared. Don't be scared or afraid to ask for help. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all. And I know a couple of you need to run, so be blessed, but I wanted to turn it over now to Liane and Teya.
Thank you, Vincent. So Teya and I are the co-conveners of the Fairfax Reentry Council. And first off, just want to say a big thank you to Malik and Julio and Aaron. just really amazing stories, and the fact that you're willing to voluntarily come and speak to all of us is a huge thing. So we thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your experiences and this journey that you guys have been on that is far from over. I just met Malik today, but I've known Julio and Aaron for a couple of years, and have seen that progression for the two of them, and it's truly amazing. And I'm grateful to know them, and grateful that they were willing to come and speak with us. So thank you. So also, I know on behalf of the entire Fairfax Reentry Council, Teya and I would like to thank all of our panelists for the entire month, everyone that has come and shared their time and their expertise and information to all of us. We'd also like to thank Vincent, who is part of the council, a very big, important part of the council, and who facilitated the entire reentry speaker series this whole month. So thank you, Vincent, for doing that and putting this together. And to all of the council members that helped make this happen this month. So thank you. I also want to say, just that for Malik, Aaron, Julio, and for all of those who are tuning in today, who are working on their recovery, their reentry, just that as a council, I know we're all proud of all of you and the work that you are continuing to do every day. And it's challenging, but it can be done, obviously. So we're really proud of all of you guys. Just wanted to say that I know we will be, the Reentry Council will, we don't meet in the summer, but we meet starting again in September. So we'll be sending out information for that. And Teya?
So it's funny, I think we have the same notes, Liane, but
Me
I want to
too.
thank Julio, Aaron, and Malik as well. I had contacted Malik back in, I guess, January, February of last year to come to speak at a family reunification. Then COVID happened. Then when we decided to have this panel, I contacted him again. It's my first time meeting him, but I've heard great stories about him. So thank you, Malik, for speaking, but also Julio and Aaron and Jamie as well. And I'd like to thank everyone, all the speakers and everyone who also was joined each week, Tuesday and Thursday, to hear us, to hear the speakers. And thank you again, Vincent, for all your technical work that you put in for us, and all the other committee members who assisted with this. And like I had down is like Liane, the council meet, we take off for the summer, but September 14th is our next meeting date. And if you'd like to join on our council, I was going to say put in your email in the chat, but I guess maybe we should just put ours and then they can contact us if you'd like to be on the list to come to meet us. So thank you.
You can also email the council at fairfaxreentrycouncil@gmail.com.
There you go, Vincent.
We're hoping to have in the fall to start maybe a possible hybrid meeting. So in person, but also virtual as well. We'll continue virtual. But we'll send out information about that in August. And Vincent just put the email in there. So feel free to reach out all summer to Teya, to me, to Vincent, to the council email address. If you have any questions or need anything from the speaker series, just touch base with us and we're happy to help. So I think we're wrapping up Reentry Month. So thank you all, everybody, for speaking, for attending. We really appreciate it, and all the work that everyone does, and all the work that we are going to continue to do. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.